Hello again from Speed Zone. Today we're going to go over the installation of brake ducts on a 2009 GTR. On these cars, there's not a lot of room to put anything anywhere, and so I really wrestled with the problem of trying to figure out how to put brake ducts on the car, because if you're doing any track days, the front brakes, the stock ones especially, are a weak point of the car. The rotors, if you get them to last through one track day, you're lucky. Usually, even with moderate temperatures, after a track day, your rotors are going to be cracked, and there's no getting around it. They just don't hold up. The stock pads are, they're okay for the street, but not great for the track. So I've changed rotors. I've gone to Racing Brake rotors, and that's the name of the company, Racing Brake. I use their rotors. I've tried several of their pads. They haven't been up to the task of stopping this heavy beast. They gave me some experimental, I've tried the XP60s, XP70s. They gave me some experimental pads that were better but not great. Now I have a set of their new experimental pads on, and probably in about 2 weeks I'll be taking it out to the track, and then I'll be giving them a report on their latest pads. Hopefully they'll be the ones. Up to now, the Endless N05Us are the best I've found. They really work good. They anchor the car down. But again, it's a heavy car. You're going to build up a lot of heat in the rotor. So I figured there must be some way that I can build a brake duct system to alleviate, at least help to alleviate that problem. The key ingredients are a NACA duct that I put underneath, and I'll show you that in a minute. 3-inch ID on the NACA duct, and this is the tubing that I got. Both of these items are available at Racer Parts Wholesale is where I bought them, and they're a good group and they sell good stuff. This is a 3-inch tubing, and the orange color denotes that it's the high temp. And since this end of the tubing is right up against the caliper, and you can see it's kind of cool because it's, they have a coiled spring inside, but it's a type that when you bend it, it'll stay bent, and this worked real well for getting the vent in to the position on the caliper that I needed to be in order to feed the cool air to the disc, and you'll see how that fits in just a minute. But this is the stuff. The orange is the high temp, and the NACA ducts are again also available through Racer Parts Wholesale, and I used a 3-inch ID on that. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to attempt to take the camera off the tripod. I'm going to light up the area underneath here, and I am going to show you where I installed the ductwork underneath the car. Really the only place I could find, believe me, trying to find a space where that isn't taken up by something else on this car is tough. I'll go over how I put them on. I use some quick connect buttons on the car. Let me find them. They're like these little push pin buttons that you use. The underneath the tray, that under trays on this car are held on by a lot of these buttons and some bolts. But with these, you drill a little bigger hole in the duct itself, and then a smaller hole that's proper for this diameter of the clip in the panel that's on the under tray. And then once you get the duct in place, you can put this in, and once you snap this up, it holds it in place. And it does a good job. I also use some Gorilla Tape around the edges to smooth the airflow, and to just in case these things ever gave out, it would still be held on with the tape. But we're going to try to go underneath the car now, and I'll show you what it looks like under there. Okay, hopefully you can see the duct. Kind of point in the general vicinity here. But these are the two little quick connect tabs that I used, so that you can detach it if you ever want to. And the way it's designed, this will, as the air comes in, it creates like a vortex that'll suck it up into the tubing, and then the tubing, of course, goes into the caliper area. This is where I put the tape here, and what I've done, when you get this part here, the edges are quite a bit wider. You know, they come out to about here, so I trimmed it off. It definitely needs to be trimmed in here to clear the tire when you're turning. And then I trimmed the other side about the same. Now, you can't see it because I have it covered up with tape, but right here there's a little indent. So this part of the duct here, that edge I left, it's probably about a 1/4 inch wider than this part here. So it fills in that area nicely. Of course, I have it covered up with tape, so it probably didn't matter, but at least that way you get a good fit. The leading edge of the duct is up near the front of the under tray, and it's when you put it in there, you'll see it. It'll find its own position, and you'll know when it's fitted correctly because it seems to like a certain position. So that's how I did the underneath, and I mean, it's trying to build anything inside here is pretty impossible. There's all types of stuff underneath there, just no room. Even under here, I built my own transmission cooler, and I mean, going through the bottom tray, there's maybe about 1/2 inch between that and the base of my frame for my transmission cooler, and you can see that on one of my other videos, the GTR transmission cooler fab and install, how I built that. But I mean, there's just, and on the other side you have the oil cooler, so there's not a lot of room under this tray, but there's enough to get these pins in. All right, so now that we've seen how I've done that, we're going to go over to the caliper side. Let me take my light, and I will show you what I did in here. Find a place to hook the light. That should work. Okay, so in here, what we've done, you can see how it comes up from this here. This is the duct here, and it's, I mean, with those pins, it's pretty solid. It's not gonna come off. And then it's a nice direct route. It's nice and simple. I mean, at first I was gonna, build a box around the caliper opening and, then have it all completely covered and, keep it simple, because that I don't think would have enhanced the cooling effect any. I fed this into the top of the caliper, so as the rotation of the caliper grows, it's going to suck the cool air in there anyway. And it's right in there. It's right in the caliper, so you can see it's right into the entry to right next to the caliper, right into the entry to the rotor. And up here, what I did, had all types of trouble trying to figure out, because this originally was tilted this way, and I was going to try to thread this in and put some on here, and then I figured, that's pretty thin metal. I can probably bend that to where I want it, and that's what I did. I just took some vice grips, attached it there, and then tweaked it back so it was level with the tubing. And once it was at the right attitude, I made a little tray for the hose clamp, a little tray out of L aluminum, and I actually even bent a little edge on this side over here to keep that hose clamp from coming off. So with that, this isn't going anywhere. Hopefully you can see this. I'll try to tip this up, but I mean, this thing, it feeds right in to the opening that goes into the rotor area. So as long as it doesn't melt or catch on fire, that's why I got the high temperature tubing. It should work. So you can see it's really, I mean, it took a little time to fit it and figure out where, but it's simple, it's direct, certainly not a lot of money, and you don't have to be a rocket scientist to do it. I think anybody can do it. So hopefully it will work. I guess I'll find out in about 2 weeks when I take the car out to the track. So I hope this helped you out. If you want to keep your front brakes cool, this should be an easy way of doing it. So for now, that's it from Speed Zone. See you next time.